Algorand has been rejected from the 1.618 area of the Fibonacci retracement. But what is in store next here for Algo? Guys, in this video, we're going to dive into the world of Algorand and specifically the price action of Algo over the last few days and what we might be expecting to see happen next. If you find this video useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, do subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here. Right, with that said, done out of the way, let's dive into this technical analysis on Algorand. And guys, this video is brought to you by 𝗕𝗪𝗀𝗀. Now live on the Binance Smart Chain, you can swap, stake and earn on 𝗕𝗪𝗀𝗀 for extremely lucrative rewards. Now 𝗕𝗪𝗀𝗀 is VenomDAO's latest initiative after establishing ViperSwap, Harmony's leading decentralized exchange. Head over to 𝗕𝗪𝗀.exchange and start earning rewards today. And we're going to start things off with this weekly chart, guys, because here we have two Fibonacci retracements. We have the one on the left-hand side, we have one on the right-hand side, okay? This one over here on the left starts from the all-time high, if you will, and the all-time low. This indicates where things could go in the horizon here for Algorand. So under some pretty good swings to the upside, we could potentially see Algorand actually reach about $14.24. That would represent about 598% from the current position. So again, something pretty lucrative could happen there. Obviously, the one on the right hand side actually takes into consideration more current positions and current performance. We take a look at the previous high for our third wave to the upside, and then we take a look at the fourth wave low. Taking that high and that low into consideration, this shows us with the 4.236 extension coming in at about $5.62. So again, still a pretty lucrative position from our current position here. As we record this video, we are at $2. So right now we're looking at a pretty good bump on the price to get up to that threshold. Overall though, I do think we're actually more than likely going to end up somewhere between the two. Going after that full $14.24 does seem like a bit of a stretch target. That being said though, actually meeting somewhere in the middle and saying $10 as a nice round number to it, I think that wouldn't be too hard to actually acquire. So overall, I think Algorand's got some pretty interesting kind of price targets looking forward to the future. We can see the stochastic RSI down at the bottom here, and we were nice and oversold during our low points, as you can see with wave 2 and wave 4, wave 3 being nice and overbought, and we've just entered the overbought area on this weekly chart for this fifth wave and this fifth push to the upside. Overall, we are looking pretty good here on the weekly chart. The structure is looking very good. Nothing really major to report other than the fact that we aren't actually in this Elliott Theory 5 impulse waves. And what we mean by this is, if I actually draw this out for you guys so you can see, Elliott waves, we can see that basically we have to take it from a low to the high to the low to the high and then the low, and then obviously we think about where the high is going. Now, Elliott theory requires a few basic rules to be adhered to. And one of the most basic rules that we need to understand is that the wave 4 can never cross wave 1. And in the case of Algorand here, we actually did drop wave 4 lower than wave 1, and therefore the whole thing is invalidated. So with that being said, we know that it's not going to be bound by the limits of the fifth wave either. So therefore, approaching these higher levels is something that we could see. Market capitalization means very little. It's definitely not a barrier to price discovery. So ultimately, all we really need here for Algorand right now is a squeeze on the supply and then an increase for the demand of the token. Overall, I do think that is something that we're likely to see as we heat up into the next leg of this bull run. So somewhere between $5.62 and $14.24 seems achievable, and I'm going to go with a $10 range. It seems like a nice round number where there will be a psychological limit associated with it. So that's where I'm going to place this thing. Now, when we actually jump down into our daily view for Algorand here, this is where we see the most current price action. We can see the high during that leg to the upside here where we reached $1.84 before coming down to those low points down here with a triple tap at the bottom at 67 cents. From then, we have had a good surge to the upside, passing through the 702 after a brief rejection from this area and a good push back to the upside. Overall, we have seen a pretty good move to the upside now, where we actually found ourselves trading in some key areas. We actually hit the $2.56 area just here on the 1.618 area before getting rejected. And we actually dive into this on the hourly, on the daily here, we can see that we pushed right up to here before getting rejected and coming back down. Now, I have drawn on two rectangular boxes, guys, because we haven't had a closed candle inside this box here or a closed candle inside this box here. And this is basically now indicating to me in the last few days, we have been trading up here, selling, and then buying down low, selling, and then buying down low. And so traders are basically now trading between these key areas just here. And what we're waiting for is those technicals to finally line up and allow us to actually push to the upside. As long as we stay above this area, we're looking pretty good. And there are some opportunities if we wick into this area to buy it up. Of course, as we look to push to the upside, we're looking for a closed candle above that 786 area or the 1.618 area. And that will allow us to have a good push to the upside overall. And that will continue the growth. But we will be looking to backtest and confirm this 1.618 area as a support line. Okay, so that's what we're looking forward to. We're looking for $2.56 as a support line rather than a resistance line that we've seen previously. That being said, though, we have come down nicely on our stochastic RSI, entering almost the oversold area. So from here, we can see a nice push back to the upside as we had done from our low areas down here. And we can see that when we utilize the stochastic well, we have a significant push to the upside. This is something that we are finally getting ready to gear up for next. So my expectations over the next couple of weeks are going to see a significant push to the upside for Algorand, and that will be very, very good to see. Now, it's at this point, guys, that we are going to dive into the advice.io dashboard and compare what is going on with the underlying data. Should we be concerned over anything that is going on, or is everything actually looking pretty good from an artificial intelligence and machine learning perspective? So we are going to jump into the advice dashboard here. There is a link in the description below if you're unfamiliar. Do sign up. It is free. You're going to be able to check out your cryptocurrencies, and you'll be able to learn a little bit more about the underlying data and how your cryptocurrencies are performing. So we're going to take a look at Algorand here. We are an A3 cryptocurrency rating overall. We can take a look at the power factors where we actually dive into a bit more detail on those underlying factors. We can see the AMI-HAD ratio here is an A2 rating, meaning there is no problem with liquidity. So A2, not bad at all for liquidity, no issues there. The fear and greed index, a B2. This is pretty neutral, so it's not greedy, it's not fearful, it's actually in a pretty reasonable position, and that's kind of indicated within where we are doing, or what we're doing within our chart at the moment, trading between two lines, basically just buying and selling in those zones. Right now, I do think that's a nice low area, but we do want to ideally kind of lift this up a little bit, get it up into the A ratings and then start seeing a bit more FOMO. But I don't think it's too far away, and we should start to see that happen. We come down to the Sharpe ratio, an A2 rating. So again, the second best rating that you can have on this platform. Is there risk to reward? So this risk reward ratio is into saying basically, no, there isn't. We're well above the 50-day average and we're tracking very, very nicely. So no problems from risk reward. We can see the moving averages A2, no problem with those. And the profitability is up there in an A1 rating. Overall, there's no issues with the underlying data for Algorand according to the artificial intelligence and machine learning of advice.io. So definitely something to check out, guys. If you're not familiar, it gives you that extra insight and extra confidence on your cryptocurrencies. Right now, Algorand is not being identified as any potential issues on that underlying data. So right now, we're going to trade in between these areas until things line up nicely to see a good surge to the upside. Let's jump down into our hourly view, and this is where things really heat up again. Here we can see that trading activity right between those two areas that I drew on the chart, right? We have an upper bound here that we're not getting those daily closes in. And down here, we're not getting the daily closes in at the lower end either. So what you're finding is people are buying it up down here and pushing it up to the upside. A little bit of rejection here. And again, this is an area that we come to the overbought area on the hourly, bringing it back down into this area for the oversold and then pushing it right back up here, selling it again as you're overbought. And basically, you're just repeating this is what they've been doing. Now, there is, of course, an upward trend line here and a downward trend line here. Now, these are actually coming together to create a triangular wedge. So right now, as we track to the upside here, we could potentially see another pull back and actually reach this lower end of the trend line and basically look for that surge to the upside afterwards. So in my personal thoughts here, I think that this trend line is not strong enough to hold. So my expectations are that we'll actually just wick into this area down here one last time and then push right back to the upside. Now, what we're looking for is to invalidate the downward trend, and we don't really want to invalidate our upward trend, but I do think that is likely to happen in the next little while. So in the next few hours, my anticipation will be that we'll drop back down a little bit into this area before eventually actually pushing right to the upside, where hopefully we'll go up into this area here, where we want to ideally get above and then get the closed candle above that 1.618 area. Okay, so overall, lots of things to look forward to, lots of volatility on the shorter time frame at the moment, and it's clear to see that people are taking profits and trading that accordingly. But ultimately, I think this is short term, and we are looking long term, and I do think Algorand is going to be in for a pretty good time in the latter part of the year as we close Q3, go into Q4 in a really strong way. Overall, we are looking to end the bull run with a nice significant bump on the current position, and if we are ever in doubt, it's important that we zoom out and we pay attention to what is going on with the larger time frames, because this is where you get to see the proper structure of how everything is coming together and where our expectations lie. We do think that there is a nice push to the upside above our $5.62 area, but potentially not all the way to that $14 range. With that being said, though, there's a significant push, and we can see some interesting price targets that look like they are going to come to fruition in the very near future. Guys, I'm going to leave that there. If you have found it useful and informative, then do hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, then do subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and you will be kept up to date with everything we do here. With that said, done and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.